Okay, so we're going to look at calculating slope. This is a review from what we looked at in chapter 5 this year. One of the biggest features is calculating slope using these slope formula. So y2 minus y1, x2 minus x1. So I'm going to follow that process for the 4 examples we have here. It should help you with your project. So the first thing I'm going to do is define this as x1, y1, x2, y2. Right? I'm just going to label these each part of my coordinates and plug them into the formula. So if I'm trying to calculate the slope, I have m equals, I have 8 minus 2 for my y2 minus y1, and 2 minus a minus 1. Please pay attention to that. That's one of the biggest mistakes people make is not paying attention to double negative. It's subtraction. So if I have 2 minus 1, it's really 2 minus a minus 1, which means that down here I have 8 minus 2 still, and I have 2 plus 1 on the bottom, which means that I have 6 over 3, and I would simplify these to give me a slope of 2. So the slope would be 2 for the first one. So the next one, again, I'm going to define my x1, y1, x2, y2. Right, and for this example, I'm going to do my m. That's be 7 minus a minus 3 all over negative 1 minus 3. So a couple things to pay attention to, like we did in the last example. This is really 7 plus 3 on the top. And then when you're doing the subtraction here, pay attention. This is negative 1 minus 3. This is going to give us a negative, right? A lot of us struggle with this idea of a negative, then subtracting a positive. If it helped, you could write this as negative 1 plus a negative 3 to see that it's going to be a bigger negative, which gives me a negative 4 down here. So at that point, I have 10 over negative 4. And you look at that fraction and say, is that simplified? Is there something I can take out of these? Well, I could take a 2 out of here, and I can take a 2 out of here as well. So when I do that, I get 5 over negative 2, and that is going to be our slope for this. It's a simplified fraction. So a couple things from the first two examples. Pay attention to the double negatives. They've happened twice. And then make sure you're simplifying your fractions. Let's look at the special cases here. So for this example, right, I'm going to do the same exact process. x1, y1, x2, y2. Put it into the formula. I have m equals, I have negative 1 minus 2 on the top. On the bottom, I have 4 minus 4. Right, for that example, on the top, I'm going to get a negative 3. Remember, we could set if it's easier to write this as negative 1 plus a negative 2 to see that it's going to be a negative 3. And the bottom, what's going to happen is when I do 4 minus 4, those are going to cancel, give me 0. And if you look at this, you try and put this in the calculator, right? We talked about this in the beginning of the year. If I do negative 3 divided by 0 in the calculator, I get division by 0 error, meaning I can't do this. This is what lends us to the idea that this is undefined. What makes it undefined is that this is, in fact, a vertical line. Right? It wouldn't pass the vertical line test. The slope is undefined. So pay attention that if I have division of 0, I can't actually do division. That means the slope is, in fact, undefined, and I'd be looking at a vertical line. Let's take a look at the last example here. Right? I'm going to define my x1, y1, x2, y2, throw it in my formula. M equals, my y is 2, my other y is 2, all over negative 7 minus 1. The top, like we had before, is going to cancel, give me 0. And the bottom, if you need to, write as negative 7 plus a negative 1. Right? That'll help us to look at this as negative 8. Well, for this example, I have 0 divided by negative 8, which we know does work. 0 divided by anything is just going to be 0. So the slope of this, or the slope between these 2 points, is going to be 0. Right? And that's going to be a representation of a horizontal line. Right, so we have a case where the slope is positive, right? Make sure you're paying attention to simplifying your fractions. The slope is negative. Again, simplify your fractions. You have a slope that's undefined. That's where you divide by 0, gives you a vertical line, and then a 0 slope, which is going to represent a horizontal line.